54 Main Street? Now typically, I think we do Pledge of Allegiance even before we begin the first piece of action, right? So let's do that, and then you're up. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, you need to read.
Notice is hereby given that the Town of Shandaken Planning Board will hold a public hearing pursuant to Section 274-B of the state law and as prescribed by the district schedule of the Shandaken Town Code for the purpose of hearing the following applicant. An application for a special use permit was submitted to the Planning Board by Wright Architects PLLC on behalf of 54 Main Street, New York LLC, located at 54 Main Street in Phoenicia, further identified as SBL number 14.13-3-6, located in a Hamlet commercial zoning district. The applicant is seeking approval to open a 9-room hotel on the second floor of the existing structure. The public hearing is scheduled for May 14th, 2025 at 6:45 p.m. at the Shandaken Town Hall, 7209 Route 28, Shandaken, New York. Anyone who wishes to make comment regarding this application may do so during the public hearing. If you are unable to attend, you may send any comments you would like read during the meeting to shandakenbldg@gmail.com or P.O. Box 134, Shandaken, New York 12480. All such comments must be received no later than 3 p.m. on May 14th, 2025.
All right, now has anyone signed up to speak for this one in the audience? Okay, did we receive any letters or emails?
We did not, no correspondence.
All right, so I think the appropriate thing is to allow the applicant to give us a presentation.
Yes.
Let the audience hear what you're planning to do.
I have support for the.
Well, basically, we are, the 54 Main Street was a hotel for many, many decades, and then it shut down for a while. The kitchen was in use the whole time, so our client, who was the family that ran the hotel when it was open, and then the restaurant when it was open, are going to reopen it. I believe we're going to go with one less room than originally it had. It had 10 for all those things. It will be now 9 rooms. That there will be a restaurant and bar downstairs. They're still there. We're just going to freshen them up a little bit. And the kitchen will continue to be used for helping out his other businesses, but cooking food for that as well. We didn't have a formal lighting presentation made, but we have now. The building currently has a signpost on the front, you know, hanging out where they had a sign forever with lights on it, lights up above, wall packs on the side, lights on the back. We actually think we're just going to reuse what's been there for probably 30 years. We will make sure that the sign is within compliance. That'll probably be a separate permit because it wasn't in our formal. And so the basically it's just we're lifting the phoenix out of the ashes. Any questions?
Is there anything new in the book that we haven't seen before? I think you were just saying there's some stuff we had not seen.
This was the one thing we didn't fully address, and we were going to put together a lighting plan, but then we realized that where they have their existing lights that have been there forever and how they used them have worked, and really no reason to modify them.
And this is the sign you'd be doing, a hung sign perpendicular to the building?
It's been sitting there. We haven't designed the size, and I know that it has to be within a requirement. It can't be over a certain size. So we'll submit that separately for the review planning board, but it'll be in compliance.
Board members, any questions? Comments?
I'm looking at a picture with awnings. Is this an old picture?
Very old.
Yeah.
We did kind of a history for you going back to the 80s to early 2000 and then today. So we're not, I don't think they're planning any awnings, but the main thing was to see the structure, the infrastructure of the lighting, and that the pole that they had their original sign on, they had a series of different signs on that thing. So I'm probably going to make sure that it's not going to fall down. But There's a lot of stores and banks and stuff that have the little signs hanging out. So we're gonna try and keep in the context of what's going on Main Street.
So is there a picture of the proposed sign in this?
No, that is something we hadn't created yet. We just put this together for tonight in case there was questions about lighting and signage.
But there will be a pole and a light, and a
Yeah,
sign hanging?
the pole is hanging there, and
Yeah.
there's lighting on it, and so we figured it'd be good to stay with what's been there for decades, so it's nothing new to the people who live in Shandaken.
What code allows there is a wall sign not exceeding 24 square feet. That's what code allows.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well-
anything outside of that would need approvals from this board and probably,
So the previous sign was the one that was hanging now?
is it still there? Are you just replacing something that's
No.
sitting there?
No,
So then we're talking about a new issue.
the 12 square foot requirement will not exceed, because if I noticed, most of the other signs were hanging, looked like they were about 2 feet by 4 feet. They were all, and we're gonna stay in that thing. The
No, I
client,
understand that. I'm just saying that if you came to me with a sign permit for something that's not sitting on the wall, I can't give it to you.
Well, the pole is still there, though.
Yes.
right, it to be just being
I
put
actually
back on
saw
the
it
hooks.
other day. I was looking
The
for it.
pole is there and that's great.
It's there, yeah.
It was a pre-existing, this is the same issue with the hotel, this pre-existing non-conforming, use or structure. After 5 years, it just ceases to be something that I can apply to code.
Okay, because there's about, I would say 50% of the businesses on Main Street have a sign hanging out,
I know.
just like that.
I live in Phoenicia, I know.
Did they all come for a special permit to get their signs up?
I haven't thought this, I don't know. It didn't come,
Okay.
I've been CEO for 2 years, I've not approved the sign permit in Phoenicia.
Okay. Well, would it be inappropriate to use the sign that the post that's there already? Not, this is not a use.
No, I
This
know.
has nothing to do with use. Use I get, but the sign, you know, there's a flagpole. I want to put a flag on it. Well, the pole's there. It's been there forever. One would think that that's not change of use. It's just reusing something that's been
Sign
there.
is different,
Yeah.
and even though there are other signs that are bigger, they wouldn't be approved if they were new as of today.
A sign hanging the way this one would be.
There's nothing there, there's just a pole, there's no sign. If you had a sign there, you could use the sign, there's no sign there, so it would be a new sign.
Actually, the sign is right outside the restaurant.
Yeah. No, I understand. So your the planning board's position is that if we wanted to put the sign back on that pole, it would have to go through the planning board.
No, it would just have to be 24 square feet.
It would then have to be a 24 square foot wall sign,
Oh, flat.
yeah, on the wall.
Oh.
So a sign that projects from the wall is not allowed as of right.
No,
No.
okay.
Not
Okay.
according to the code.
But as reviewing this permit, if it's shown that way on the drawings and we approve it, that sign is approved, correct?
We're apply to the site plan, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So the way to get the sign you want would be to put it on your application, on your site plan, show us the sign that you want.
Which is actually how they got the sign, the wellness, what is this, the pharmacy?
The
Yes.
wellness,
I
yeah.
brought a
They-
pen,
they
I could do it
included
now.
The sign as part of their site plan application and they got
I
it.
don't even have another
Okay.
one.
Well, I understand. Thank you. I
Okay.
got it.
Could you explain the heating and the cooling that you're going to use?
Yes. First, we're going to insulate the building considerably to meet all of the comp check. And then it's going to be split systems. The little wall packs will be in each room. And the compressors will either be on the back or up on the roof over the kitchen, so that they're shorter runs. They will be all electric, heating and cooling, and that'll be throughout. There'll be no more fossil fuel heating or cooling.
Okay. Will there be anything in the basement?
No, because we've been in touch with the building department. The basement will be cleared out, and then we'll have to address flooding and flood zone. So we're actually having Don Brewer establish the elevation for us. When we go to the DOB, that'll be taken care of. But everything's gonna be cleared out of there. It's just going to be gravel and whatever Mike Riccadelli puts down there.
Yeah.
old tables and stuff.
All right.
I believe one of our officials had your hand up. Does this, please let everybody know who you are, what you do, so that way you can hear your comment.
Joyce is gonna yell.
If you don't speak in the mic.
Yes.
Sorry.
I can finish.
Donna Lemoyne, building,
Oh, we spoke.
oh, yes, we spoke. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the fact that you are pretty heavily in the flood zone area. So some things could come up, even if it's approved, you know, for like, the utilities are important, where they're placed.
There'll be no utilities down there. We spoke with Don,
Yes,
and he says he'll do this right away, and we, according to him, quickly said, where you are is not a problem, just make sure you don't have any utilities in the basement.
and how much renovation you need to do to open? I don't know if it's significant or not.
The structure's gonna stay as it is. You know, it's funny, most of the rooms are already set up. They just need new plumbing.
I don't know myself how long it's been closed.
Well, you guys would know better than I.
20-plus years,
How many?
20-plus.
The hotel I don't recall at all. The restaurant's been closed quite some time. When Rob Stanley's
least over
mom
15
passed,
years.
they had her wake there. That was 10 years ago. They had been open for a few years at that point. It's been a while.
Anything else?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that we know we gotta have to deal with the restrictions for the flood zone. What's that for?
Now, you,
Town's in flood zone. At least half of it.
No, you were
This
very-
week, maybe more.
you were very helpful when we spoke on the phone the other day, so we immediately started the ball rolling.
Thank you.
So
Rick?
where are the utilities, the heating system, where is that going to be located?
Well, you know how compressors work in split systems? They're like about the size of a suitcase, each compressor. They can be up to 2 tons.
Is it on the ground level?
Sometimes, but I'm gonna probably put them up, there's a big flat roof right over the kitchen that's fairly stable. So you can put you can put adjusted legs on them, and they can sit up there. It's much easier to service.
Okay.
We'll probably put about 3 or 4, so it divides up, you
So
know,
then they would be avoiding any kind of flood.
Yeah.
water
way up
coming
above.
down.
Yeah, yes. Everything is coming out of that basement. There were old air conditioner systems down there, completely dormant and dead. They're actually gonna be taken out. We're gonna come to you for a demo permit or a clean out permit. Do we need that? Just to clean out garbage?
Put it all together on one permit.
All righty, I'll put it all together. We're getting bids now to get it all cleared out. Cause I gotta put, you know, some structures and stuff in.
How do people get upstairs?
How do we get,
The rooms are upstairs, right?
yeah, there's staircases. It's all in there.
There's no like accessibility type?
We studied the fire separations, egress, and we're in compliance for that use, and in the commercial zone. And we're gonna sprinkle the building most likely. I'm pushing to have it sprinklered.
Okay, so
I remember you spoke about sprinklers the last time. That decision hasn't been made?
No, it's something where they'll save themselves so much money and so many fire separation requirements if they do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to pretty much sprinkle the stair and the hall. The rooms are fine. There'll be individual fire zones. And it just brings it up to a easier code, and their insurance will be half as much.
Does the board have any other questions or comments?
No.
Grace?
Before you decide to close the public hearing, you haven't received county's response to your referral,
Correct.
so I don't know if you wanna leave the.
That's an excellent
close it now
suggestion.
And hope that you get that within the 62 days, or leave it open in case you don't.
Right.
It's up to you.
So would anyone like to move that we keep this open so that we can hear from the county?
So moved.
Need a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll see you again next month, and we'll hear from the county in the meantime.
Okey dokey.
Shall we begin the regular meeting?
Okay. You gotta take attendance, because you didn't take attendance.
I did not. All right. Cliff Rebuffo, Joanne Kell,
Here,
John Horn, Alan Shiner. Here. Sam Spada.
Here?
Vivian Welton.
Here.
Juan Rosales.
here.
All right. I guess the first thing would be minutes from the previous meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes from the previous meeting, and are there any comments?
No?
No.
All right. I've already given Olivia my comment that where I was noted as being recused, I could not have voted yes, so she's going to make that correction.
Okay.
But with that one correction, can I get a motion that the minutes be approved?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Communications?
You received a letter from an attorney representing a group of residents about perpetual space, about the leeway. But I don't know if you want to wait on that until you get to that agenda item.
I would wait for it. Anybody feel differently?
No? Let's wait.
No way.
Other than that, I'm not aware of any other communication.
Okay. So now we go to old business, correct?
Yeah.
All right, Verizon Wireless is first up on the agenda as I see it written in front of me for number 6.
This is empty. My Verizon Wireless thing's empty.
Verizon, I believe you are here to show us coverage with the Phoenicia Tower, but not Mount Tremper. That's my recollection.
No, backwards, not Trevor's today.
Mount Tremper is today? So we're not talking Phoenicia today?
Correct. We have to go to the ZBA for Phoenicia. I think it's next week.
Because it's taller than what
Because
this...
it needs, yes, so that's what, yeah, so that'll be provided once we come back to you for
Okay.
that.
'Cause I
That-
think we
I
look-
have a problem with that, because the reason I understood for asking for the coverage with the Phoenicia Tower and not Mount Tremper, is so that we could assess the need for the Mount Tremper Tower. So if we don't have that information, we don't have everything we need for the Mount Tremper Tower.
I mean, there's a need for Mount Tremper, well, what I'm calling Boyceville. We have the plots in Exhibit 4, that's in your application, which shows a clear the Phoenicia Tower cannot cover what we're trying to do here.
But
Science
that's what we
doesn't-
wanted to see.
Science doesn't,
That's what we wanted to see by having a map of one without the other.
unfortunately, I think we were talking about Phoenicia when that came up, so that's why we don't have that today. But, yeah, and that's not gonna have Phoenicia in this one, because this one came first. Phoenicia got delayed by a couple of months. Originally, we wanted to have them both together. But so I don't have that map.
Did we ask for that in the last meeting? I don't remember.
We asked for that when we were discussing the Phoenicia Tower, because discussing the Mount Tremper Tower without knowing that there was a planned Phoenicia Tower, then we're under the assumption originally that that was going to be the only tower to cover any part of Shandaken, that other than what's already covered. And then the Phoenicia Tower came up later in the meeting, and somebody, I wasn't myself, but I was definitely in favor of having the data of the coverage for the Phoenicia Tower and whether there was enough overlap with the Mount Tremper Tower, so that the Mount Tremper Tower could be considered a very, very specific, small coverage project.
Yeah, I seem to recall that because the Phoenicia Tower is the one that does the most good for Shandaken, and it's the one that the county needs. The one
Yes,
at Mount
yes.
Tremper, I still feel from looking at the map, it's mostly helping people in Woodstock.
Unfortunately, wireless networks do not follow municipal boundaries. That's just the way it is. It would be like saying if a gas station application came to you that's on the edge of your town, would you say, well, that's gonna really benefit more of the next town over, so we're not gonna consider it? You can't do that. I understand what you're saying. We need both sites. We would not be leasing 2 different properties and applying for 2 different properties and spending the time and money if we didn't need both sites. And I said from day one that we were gonna have another tower in Phoenicia. I said I can't tell you exactly where because it wasn't totally wrapped up by then. But there is no question, and you need 2 sites. Science does not let you cover this entire hilly mountainous area with 1 site at Phoenicia. It doesn't work.
Didn't you bring up that the Mount Tremper Tower really doesn't do that much for Woodstock because it can't go through the mountain?
There is a mountain range on that
Behind
side, sure. In
it.
fact,
You
I
did say-
think,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think if you look
I
actually.
remember
I
that.
remember that,
That
yes.
was in there, and I think if you look actually in one of the plots, it does show we're actually doing more in Shandaken than Woodstock. And
I
the
don't have
plots
it
are on
here.
page 18.
They're over here.
No, okay. Well, while you do that, let's just back up. Procedurally, what are we doing here tonight with Verizon? Are we waiting for anything from the county?
No.
We've had the public hearing?
County response to referral is in your packets.
Okay.
Make sure you're pulling Mount Tremper, not.
So let's take a moment to see what the county is saying.
If I can show you, what's in the record. This is just one of the plots, this is proposed, but here's the town of Shandaken, and here's Woodstock, and there's your boundary. And you can see, all this, we're making the Boyceville site, Mount Tremper, the majority of it's actually covering Shandaken. So that's in
That's
your.
what I understood last week.
So that's the site, I guess, what you're calling Mount Tremper. And the green is all the service we're getting from that, and here's Woodstock and here's Shandaken. So you can see that the large majority of the service that we're getting from this Mount Tremper site is in for Shandaken. Phoenicia, and you can see that this is not covered. The Phoenicia one, I don't have my application, I wish I did, but
Well, tower would be about here.
I'm sorry, be
Yeah,
in here.
yeah.
So what it's gonna do is gonna fill this gap in here. You can kind of look at what the service you're getting from this site, and, just do some, we need both, I hear what you're saying.
I think what was brought up by the neighbors of the proposed Mount Tremper site was that they already have cell coverage.
Well, but they don't have Verizon cell coverage, and I'm sure some of the neighbors say that, and this is, let me say it the way that I don't stick my foot in my mouth. Some of them may have some service, but that's not the standard.
Right.
The standard is what do these maps show. The fact that someone may say I have service or don't have service, that's just one person out of the town. So you don't know about all the other people that say they don't have service. The reality is, I think when we came here the first meeting, everybody was pretty much like, yeah, we don't have service. I don't
It's
think that's
true,
in
it's
question.
true.
And we have the technical data that demonstrates, and the only way, I mean, like, to get into the weeds of it, the only way to discount this document is if someone provided another expert document that basically refutes it, which won't happen. I've been doing this too long. This is based on pure physics and science.
I don't think you would be putting up a tower if there weren't customers for the tower.
That's another
I mean,
great
I
point.
don't see the argument of some people have service. You're not putting a tower up if there's service for everybody.
Well, no, it's exactly right.
But then again, that's their business, and we don't vote on business, we vote on
No, but
use.
what
No,
I'm
but that's
saying
not
is,
it. No,
if, I'm not talking about the business. What I'm saying is, there's no argument that the tower is needed.
Right.
The proof that they're gonna put the tower up and spend all that money, they know it's needed. Otherwise, they wouldn't be building it.
Right. Where I live, I have service. You know why I have it? Because I have a Verizon router, a booster. My neighbors don't have service.
Right.
So I can say, oh, I have service, so, you know,
Correct.
I'm not worried about the rest of the people.
But then there's
That's almost
service
what
on,
they're saying.
then it's on the
Yeah.
roads, but you're exactly right. I mean, I've been making that argument for 26 years, but a lot of times people don't want to hear it, and that's why we give you the technical data that says, well, if you don't believe that we're doing this because we have a need for it, here's the data that shows it.
Right.
But,
So
Yes.
I remember when you first proposed this, it was said that this purpose of this tower is to fill in the gap on Route 28. So could you clarify that?
so we have a site down, a couple of sites down in Olive. And what we call them, we call it, well, one we call the Boyceville site. And that gets us basically service to about the southern border of Shandaken, around 28. So this connects to that site, so if I may. This is our Boyceville site in Olive, and it provides all this service here. Kind of stops right around there, actually. And then the Boyceville one connects, we always want to be connecting, so we have kind of seamless service.
Where are you looking
So I'm sorry, I'm on page 14 of tab 4. So that's what we're connecting Route 28. The goal is to do more than just Route 28. We actually want to provide in-building coverage to residential areas, along with in-car coverage to the traveling public.
The only reason I'm asking that is because it hadn't been mentioned since the Route 28 coverage. So I just was confused about exactly where it ends and where the tower proposed would fill in.
Yeah, and I think if you looked at page 14, that's a good indication of what the proposed service is for our site that you're considering here. And it shows you the green, the yellow, and that's right in that area. And then, so we are basically connecting, in a sense, to the service that's provided by the site in Olive.
So the county was not planning to use this Mount Trumper site. They
That's
have
correct.
a couple other sites they are negotiating about.
The county does not need this site. My understanding with the county is their emergency radio services use a much lower frequency, which is in the 150-ish area megahertz. We're using 700, but more importantly, 2100 megahertz, so we're like 2,000 times higher in frequency. The relevance of that is that the 150 megahertz frequency that the county uses can travel very far compared to our frequency. Yeah, so it's in the physics, the wavelengths. The longer the wavelengths, the farther they travel. So the 150 is a pretty long wavelength, whereas the 2100 megahertz is a very short wavelength, and that energy is more about going up and down like that instead of like that. So the longer wavelengths can actually travel much farther. That's why they don't have to be on every single site that we have.
Well, would there be a possibility, if they do put up their own towers, which is the plan, for Verizon to use those?
We are actually in, and have been for the last year or so, working closely with the county. We know kind of what their plan is, and they know what our plan is for this area, and we are coordinating so that, yes, we're going on whatever towers they're proposing that we need, we're going on. That has no effect on this application. We know what towers they're proposing, and this application is needed regardless.
Has everyone on the board had an opportunity to review the letter from Ulster County?
Yes.
I think that was sent out last month, right?
So they're saying you'll need an access permit from Ulster County Highway and Bridges. And they're looking to paint the tower so it blends into the surrounding vegetation. Okay.
I don't know where to find it.
Oh, it's in
It looks like this
Verizon.
I'm,
from the
Mount
county?
Trumper.
yeah, I'm
Yeah, she
looking in
knows
this
what it looks
folder. I have the
The
folder.
Mount Trumper.
I don't see it in here.
All right, so Young and Summer is the Verizon attorney. We have a couple of letters from them. Is that correct? Back to February and December.
Yeah,
Nothing new there.
No, yeah, nothing new.
Nothing new.
it's just the recommendation of the Owens County plan.
They're asking us to waive the provision in the code that the tower will be used by at least two providers.
Is that exactly how it's written? Do we have to say in the conditions of the approval that we accept this for only one lease? Is that how is it written that explicitly? That they have to have two?
Yeah, it is.
You're approving the application as written, so if you didn't require
The
any
two?
changes to said
Okay.
application, you're.
So, just so you know, this
Good.
will be available for other carriers, for
Right.
co-locators.
They don't have it.
But it's just, your code says you have to go get them before you come here. And I think I explained before, it's just.
You did.
There's no way to do that, unfortunately,
did.
practically speaking.
I think we should vote on it.
Any further discussion? Would someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept it as is.
And to approve the special use permit?
Yep.
Is there a second?
Clifford
Just-
Buffo, Joanne Kell,
Yes,
John Horn, Alan Shiner,
Yeah.
Sam Spada,
Yes.
Vivian Welton,
Yes,
Juan Rosales.
I mean, Frank, you guys need to do a neg deck on this as well. So here, we need to use this, which you happily provided,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that so much. So as you're reviewing, this is 10 pages. It's the part 2 of the EAF that they submitted. So for each of these, if the answer is no, you can just move on to the next. But if the answer is yes, you have to answer these sub-questions.
Right.
And there are
Typically, we
18
read this off out loud and,
Yes, you can go through it together.
all right. Impact on land may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface. How can it be anything but yes?
Yeah, it's the magnitude question, basically. It's
Right,
yes, no to small, or moderate, or
Okay.
significant. That's
that's what I recall.
what they're looking, yeah.
So it's a small footprint, so that sounds like a no.
okay.
A, proposed action may involve construction with depth to the water table. This is all impact on land. I think once we hit no, we don't have to go through A through H.
No,
They're all no.
okay.
Small impact. Impact on geological features. The proposed action may result in the modification of or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site, cliffs, dunes, minerals, fossils, caves. I think this is a small impact.
Yes,
Okay, so that's a no. That goes down the line. Impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies. Surface water, not runoff. That sounds like a no.
no,
4, impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer. Seems like a no. Okay. Impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on land subject to flooding. That's clearly a no.
no.
Impacts on air, the proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source. That's a no. And members of the board, if I go too fast and I'm saying
No,
something you
you're going
disagree with,
fine.
just,
You're going
just,
fine.
just stop me. I know you're not shy. Impact on plants and animals, the proposed action may result in a loss of flora or fauna. No. Impact on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources. That's a no. Acorns are not included. Impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource.
I think that could be a yes.
Oh.
The question is it a small impact? It is a small impact considering it's in the middle of all the Catskills.
It's hardly in the middle. It's 1,000 feet from the Wittenberg Road where there are multiple residential dwellings. At the moment, the water running off the access road is very significant. So I just caution you not to make big presumptions about the impact.
Have you begun construction?
Have we been, talk me?
Yeah, I'm asking, have you begun construction?
No, we haven't started construction. I think,
Someone's built an access road?
no, we haven't, no, I think that came up at
It
the
did come
last
up at the
meeting,
last one.
and what was explained was it was a neighboring property that's doing work out there.
Okay, so
No,
then-
we are highly regulated. We can't take down a single tree before we go through the approval process.
All right, so if somebody's doing some work, you'll be looking to make sure they're doing proper SWIPs, et cetera, so we don't have that runoff, correct? Donna?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. This is the address of the property where the cell tower will be, and there is an access road going in. I live there. So I don't know why or whether it's legal, but it is most certainly happening on the address where the cell tower will be.
We have not done any.
When you say happening, they're building it now, or it was built
Tearing
already?
down trees and building a road, which of course, because we've had a rain, there's a lot of water running off.
Could that possibly be?
I'm sorry, who's they?
They is whomever has permission to build an access road on the property where your cell tower will
Could it be
be.
the owner?
Could
Verizon
be, yeah.
Wireless has not.
Okay, but somebody has.
All right, it
So
could
then
be
I
the
don't
owner.
know.
It could be the owner of the
No,
No,
property.
no, no
To us.
arguing, please, please.
No one connected to us.
Okay.
Again,
It
we are,
could be the owner doing this.
would not be doing it for us.
Oh.
Okay?
Understood. You're not on the hook here. Somebody could
No, I
be
know.
doing work on that property,
Maybe.
maybe.
I mean, it was said at the last meeting, it was another property.
Okay. Didn't
So
you
what's
say
the
you were-
proper, what's the proper
I was
recourse for the
told that,
public?
But I don't know.
I thought you went over there.
I went over there, I saw a lot that looked like it had been cleared. And then I was told that it was not the Verizon lot, it was another building lot. But I don't know for a fact what lot that is. I just know I saw something that looked like
Mr.
it.
Schultz's house, have you seen the site? So Mr. Schultz's house is pretty far up, and where they're going is farther up yet. I don't know that you could see a cleared site from Wittenberg Road that far back. I
You
don't.
cannot, that's not the site that's being cleared, that's a house site that's further east of the proposed cell tower.
All right, so let's take a moment. Let's just take a moment. So what is the proper procedure for a member of the public to say, I'm getting stormwater runoff, somebody's doing some work, it's making the road muddy? Who do they call here in town hall to look at this?
Donna said she would take. I will go take a look.
You will look into it?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Okay, so back to the form.
Right.
Impact on aesthetic resources is a no, because it's one item in a very large forest.
Right.
Impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource.
No.
Nope.
No.
Impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or a reduction of an open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan. That's a no. Impact on critical environmental areas. The proposed action may be located within or adjacent to a critical environmental area. No. 8 of 10. Page 8 of 10. Impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems. No. Impact on energy. The proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy. No. Impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting. No. 9 of 10, the impact on human health. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants. No. And I guess that's it. I have no page 10 of 10. Am I missing something? It goes straight to part 3.
You have to read through it.
So part 3 is page 10? There it is, page 10 of 10.
There you go.
Got it. Consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. It's not consistent. So 2 negatives. So this is a no. Whew. Consistency with community character. Now it goes the other way. The proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character. It's a small, big pole in a large forest, so it sounds like a no. And that was page 10 of 10.
Once again, that's within 600 feet of several
So
residences.
then if you go through the part 3, and then you're gonna.
Is there
just
more?
Read through that part 3, and it'll tell you what sort of motion to make for that negative declaration, or it should off the top of that.
Are you talking about this part, where we're looking for a neg deck? Because we've exhausted the pages in this tab.
Yep, that's your part 3.
Okay. All right, reasons in support of the determination of significance. We haven't determined any significance. All right, so status is either type 1 or unlisted that we've got here. I think this is an unlisted action.
Yes.
Now, do I need a motion for that?
The motion is that there either will or will not be significant environmental impact.
Okay. Can I get a motion that there will not be significant environmental impact?
So moved.
Second.
Clifford Buffalo, Joanne Calb,
Yes.
John Horn, Alan Shiner.
Yep.
Sam Spada.
Yes.
Vivian Welton,
I'm gonna say no, just because I know I'm outvoted.
Juan Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, so we've done the EAF part. Now do we come back to the special use permit and take motion on that?
You already did.
We already did.
If you wouldn't mind, just because technically the seeker is supposed to come before,
We can do it.
could you redo?
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's the request?
He wants us to take the vote again, it's supposed to happen after
For the
the
special
environmental
use.
review.
Yes.
Which vote are we taking again?
Special use.
You can make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the special use permit.
Second.
All right, Clifford Buffalo, Joanne Calb.
Yes.
John Horn, Alan Shiner.
Yes.
Sam Spada.
Yes.
Vivian Welton.
Yes.
Juan Rosales.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll be back for the next one when the ZBA is completed.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. Take a moment here. All right, Wellington Blueberry LLC is next up.
Now, if you pull out the Wellington information, that same part 2 that you just did for Verizon,
Mm-hmm.
there should be one in there for Wellington.
All right, who would like to read this one?
I'm gonna steal this
I
from
think
you
if the chairman should read
because it's.
Hmm?
I want it.
it. I think the chairman should read it.
I don't mind, I read fast.
Mr. Chairman, I think we did the part 2, all right, we walked through this already. believe.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, my brain,
On the previous meeting.
my,
Yeah.
my brain.
Yeah.
So you're saying we did I know we
We
did,
went through the part.
yeah, I have my copy here.
Yeah.
We did do it. That was a draft by the applicant, not by us.
But you reviewed it.
Yeah,
But we
yeah,
did review it.
yeah, and went through the question.
So what is there to do today?
Tonight is fairly short, I think. This, the board is probably familiar, this is the draft negative declaration that was prepared initially by myself, then reviewed by Ben Gailey a couple times and circulated to the board. Ben made some fairly extensive changes in it, clarifications. I had no problem with any of them. They were all good and made the document better. Tonight, the only thing that we would ask is that this negative declaration be voted on and passed, so we'll circulate it again for the board to all the involved and interested agencies and provide you with an affidavit of service that that's completed. And we'd like to get that completed tonight and then move on to site plan review and our area variances and use variance with the ZBA.
All
Not
right.
much to do.
So you have not yet completed the work with the ZBA?
No, we can't until seeker's done. We're not allowed to complete our area variance and use variance until seeker is.
So to close seeker, we need a motion on a negative declaration, no significant impact?
Correct.
Is there any other procedural items that we're expected to do tonight?
I mean, it'll be the neg deck is, I would say as written, as presented to the
That-
board.
Yeah, and as revised,
And as revised,
yeah,
yes.
by the board and by Ben.
Just so that it's like.
Yes, it is,
so that-
35 pages or so?
Right.
Yeah, it's long.
So that you're acknowledging that it's the document, that
Yes.
it's the document that you're approving. it.
They're acknowledging it's a document that's been reviewed by our attorney and that they have complied with our attorney's comments. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Yes.
I didn't hear from him, though. Mike, is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. You gotta forgive me, I don't, born deaf in one ear, don't hear too well out of the other. All right, board members, does anyone here have any commentary, questions? Would anyone like to make a motion of no significant impact?
So moved.
Second.
Cliff Rebuffo, Joanne Kell.
Yes.
John Horn, Alan Shiner.
Yes.
Sam Spada.
Yes?
Vivian Welton.
Yes.
Juan Rosales.
That's perfect. We have the signature page. Cliff would usually sign, I know. We
You
can
want Sam,
have
though?
the acting chair sign.
Right here.
Sam, Mr.
This gentleman.
And I'll leave one with the board too.
Yes, because they like paper.
I'm good at generating.
I love paper.
And then if we can fill in the motion part in
All
a
right,
second.
I'll need a pen.
Oh,
I only have pencil.
I don't know who made
All right, so this is a motion made by
Vivian made the motion.
and seconded by Juan,
I
right?
won.
Rosales, correct? And it was a vote of all ayes, right?
Yeah,
5?
Five.
Okay, here's one. We need more?
No, you just one for you and one for
One for
us.
yeah. The girls like to keep all that.
We love paper.
They love paper.
Olivia? This is as long as my arm goes.
And then I was just going to say to the board, we'd like to try and move to public hearing on the site plan itself at some time at the board's discretion. I don't know if they want to do that at the next meeting and schedule it. or
You
if they
should
want
have
to
heard
come
from the
back.
ZBA by the time we have our June meeting,
That's correct, we will.
which will be on, don't tell me,
Because
the
that-
11th?
The public hearing for the ZBA was scheduled tentatively, and because that neg deck was just issued right now, there's not enough time.
We have to go to the ZBA this coming Wednesday.
Yeah, but there's
And
no
then
public hearing scheduled, so then they're gonna schedule that public hearing for
They'll
July.
schedule it, yeah, they'll schedule it for that, yes, for
So
July.
then you'll be back before this board in August.
Oh,
With the
Their
public
meeting is
hearing.
after yours.
With a public hearing, we're saying.
in August?
But they
2
can't
months
come back
away?
with an approval from the ZBA until August.
Run us by
Why
that
is
again?
that? Why?
There's no the public hearing will be scheduled for June.
They can't do
Okay.
ZBA public hearing in June? Today's May
Right,
14th.
June, July, so the earliest they can come back is July. My brain, I told you, I
Yeah,
apologize.
it'll be July.
I thought it was June. I'm making the year go away. It's May. So they would schedule their June public hearing for the ZBA, and then they could come in July.
So they
Okay.
can't go to the May 21st public hearing?
7 days, I don't have enough time. I gotta do 10 days
Now
now.
and then, oh, then,
Don't I?
okay. No.
Can we
no.
schedule the public hearing,
It's up
the
to
site plan
board.
public
If the
hearing?
board wants to schedule the public hearing for.
July 9, I think that
Can we do
would
it
be.
now?
It'll be July
July
9th.
Would the
You
9th
can
be the
pick a date
second
now,
Wednesday?
Right, for July?
July 9th. Here's the schedule.
Oh, look at that.
You have one. July 9th. Oh, look at
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I don't see why you can't schedule it for July now.
Yeah,
That would be-
right.
Thanks.
We can do it.
And if by some chance,
They're not ready, then we can.
or that the ZBA says, yeah, come on in,
Yeah, how would that happen?
That's not gonna happen.
okay.
No, they can't, they legally can't.
He doesn't have enough time between the
All righty.
meetings.
You want to vote on scheduling?
Can I get a motion for public hearing on the July meeting of this board?
So moved.
Second, anybody?
Oh, what time?
I'll second. Yeah.
July 9th.
What time would you like to do it, 6:45?
6:45.
Where's my pen back?
Oh, that's your pen. I liked it.
I know, everybody does.
Do you have to take an individual vote? No. Okay.
Did we vote?
Just the motion is needed to set the public hearing.
Okay.
We
And
had,
then Jan wanted to give a special announcement.
just for those of you who haven't heard, the National Trust for Historic Preservation has recognized the Wellington as one of the 11 most endangered historic places in the United States.
Oh.
Good work on your part to make that happen.
Yeah.
That
It was a
doesn't just
team effort.
happen.
It was a team effort, and unfortunately, it's very competitive. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, where's the agenda? Perpetual Space LLC.
I won't take up a lot of the board's time. The board may remember that at the last meeting, we were here, and it was a workshop meeting, so the board does not circulate notice of intent to serve as lead agency at those meetings. So the only thing to do, this has been vetted by the board, sent to Ben. This is a draft seeker notice of intent to serve as lead agency. The board may recall that at first blush, this event space was classified as type 2. In light of the opposition and in light of the comments that were made to the public, we decided to turn around and make sure that we followed the secret procedures and didn't take a chance on the type 2 action that may have been like this if you're before a judge. Since we have organized opposition, and I just got a very detailed letter from the attorney that's here, I think it's prudent course, we would start the seeker process. Again, we can circulate the document, provide you with an affidavit that it was done, and go right to the beginning of seeker. And that's probably the safest course for all involved.
Are you recommending a change in the type?
No, I think it's the same action, unlisted, an unlisted action, so.
So then, yeah, if originally this board determined it to be a type 2 action.
Yeah, oh,
they're
yes,
asking that you change it to unlisted.
Yeah, I'm
That's
sorry,
what I
yes.
thought.
Yes, change it to an unlisted action.
Comments?
We will follow also, just so the board knows, I always with my clients, follow all the type 1 procedures anyway, so it's.
Okay, so this is substantive. How do we feel about this?
Well, could you explain what the significance is, or what actions we would have to take in response if it were changed?
The only action tonight would be to vote to circulate this notice of intent to lead agency. It would go to all the involved and interested agencies that are on this document, which number 18 total. So, and that would get the secret process going.
Okay, now I'm a little confused. It sounds like we're following the route of a type 2, but we want to say that it's unlisted. Am I hearing wrong?
Yeah, I think we have to reclassify it as unlisted. We originally used the type 2 action classification, which gives, and I think it's 617.5 C24 or something, which is temporary uses of land having no significant effect on the environment. Like I said, because that's a somewhat attenuated, if you make an argument, we decided to be more conservative and go through a full secret review.
Okay.
Which I think is the prudent course. Again, we'd need a signature on this document to circulate.
How does the board feel about this?
Well, it
Any
sounds like
objections?
he's trying to be more thorough and get approval from more than one agency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone object?
No?
Does this need a vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need 'em.
It's a motion to change, the type of action,
Right.
and then a decision to do a coordinated review.
Right, so there's 2 steps here. So,
I don't know if they can be done together, but both need to be in there.
what was the second one you said?
A coordinated review.
To go to coordinated review with this town as lead agency.
Correct.
All right, can I get a motion to, I've lost it now. I remember the second
Type
part.
2, changing type 2 to type 1 unlisted action.
No type 1. No unlisted.
Oh, just unlisted.
All right, so let's do it in 2 motions. Can I get a motion to accept the recommendation to go unlisted, not type 2? Anyone care to motion that?
Second. And one.
One motion, okay, we have a motion.
I'll-
All in favor?
Aye. Now can I get a motion to go with a coordinated review with planning board as lead agency?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, I think it's now ready to be signed.
I'm sorry that there are 2 projects tonight that are in my backyard, but I pray the planning board will take a look at Shandaken 11658A and 11658A1 and ask themselves whether indeed the proposed project is legal in Shandaken. Please do that for us before we go through all these machinations. And I'm sorry to interrupt. I just feel like there's very little.
I share the concern. I
Okay.
share the concern. We're not just planning board members, we're members of this community.
Okay, thank you. I just
Yeah.
wish you'd read them fully and get where we're coming from. Thank you.
And we will provide a response to the
Thank
detailed
you.
submittal that was made.
That correspondence that he references is in your folder.
Thank you for the comment,
Right.
by the way. Usually-
Which was comments that I had made last time, but I didn't have the chapter and verse in front of me, so this has been kindly provided.
Well, what she's talking about, yes, but the letter involves, I think, more than just
Okay,
those 2
this-
references.
This is the original, this page, and this is new, okay.
Mike, which one do you get?
Either one, doesn't matter. They're both the same. Thank you very much. I'm all set, unless the board has any questions.
Everyone's going to stay, I know that there have been some comments, people are going to stay. If that is-
Are these previous owners, the ones who sold this property to them?
What are we looking at
These are additional comments that were
Yeah, more.
regarding
the project.
Yeah.
perpetual?
As previous
Listen, I already told-
owners, we remember when you sold this over food and
Yeah.
bags?
Mhm.
Are they the ones who sold this property to these people? Nice.
We don't need to take any further action on that at this time.
Good.
Right.
Sam.
We'll do it,
Cliff had said that Mimi could read her letter this evening.
Who?
That Mimi Maloney, who lives right next door to you, read
Okay.
her
She
letter.
wants to read her letter.
Okay, is Jeannie Maloney here?
which one is it?
I'm going to, if you don't mind, if you don't mind, I'm Jeannie Maloney, and
Take your time.
I was going to read this.
All right, quiet.
However, what I'd like to do is, because things are kind of settling and things are gonna be whatever, I'm not really understanding, I've been advised that the best thing for me to do with my letter is to read it another time. So that it's more on top of what's really going on, because this kind of changes things. And it's quite a long letter, and it's handwritten because I don't type and I don't do email. If you want to read the letter, if you have copies of it and you want to read it, that's fine with me. But these are my thoughts, and this is my heart, this is my property, and this is my life. It's my privacy, it's my peace of mind, and it's my sanctuary. So this is the most important thing in my life right now, and it's important for other people too that are here with me, and other people in the community who haven't really, they don't even know what's going on yet. And if this goes forward, they will know what's going on. So I just want you to know that I appreciate everything that you guys do, and I know, you're volunteers, and it's a hard job, and it's a lot of detail, and you're trying to protect the community, but I'm hoping you're gonna protect me, because I'm hoping that the code, the way it's set up for a residential zone, will not allow for my property to be invaded with noise, cars, you name it. And I don't know how you guys would feel if this was next door to you, but I think you would feel the same way if it was you, your grandmother, your mother, your children. You would not want this next to you. Every weekend, noise, like party central. So, thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you.
God bless you all.
You are next door to the
I
leeway?
am right next door.
Can you-
My
can you make
porch
copies of
is,
this?
my porch
Do we
is-
have the letter?
Yeah, it's right there.
My porch is 30 feet
She's only
away
got one.
from, my porch is 30
Oh, no,
feet away
I'll
from the
wait
back
for
of the
that.
motel. I'm 30 feet away, 30 feet.
Yeah.
So, just so you know where I sit and why it's of such great concern to me.
Thank you.
Thank
This will
you.
change my life. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you all
No
see
fleet.
that letter from the attorney in your packet?
Yeah?
Yes.
Do you want to go over it? Do you want to respond to the letter?
Are we still talking perpetual?
Yes.
Is the letter in the folder?
Yes.
What's the letterhead? Who's the attorney?
Thank you.
I think with this vote tonight, we put off discussing it at that stage.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So this is from the Oliver Law Office. Okay, so, board members, please be advised, you have this. Okay. So I would recommend that, since we have created the secret process, we've kicked that off, let's all have a moment to read this before we come to the next workshop, and if we have questions at that time, we can be prepared for a next public meeting. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
I would advise you and invite the applicant to that workshop if you intend to discuss it then.
The applicant or their attorney? The attorney references 4 different
That's
people.
not the applicant's attorney. This is,
You're talking about the applicant perpetual, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
obviously informed attorney as well.
That's a good advice. Let's advise them. Let's let them know that we're going to be talking about this letter at the workshop.
Who are we telling?
We're telling
Both
perpetual's
attorneys.
attorneys.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for that advice, Grace.
But is this a requirement that we?
No.
Or is this an opportunity to discuss at a workshop without outside?
Well, you know that a
Input.
workshop is not supposed to be, we're not supposed to have conversations with the public. That workshop is for the board to discuss.
Yeah,
So-
just us.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know
see-
that.
yeah,
but
I
Well, we
think
always
if
have
one
people
end of the conversation is
who
aware that it's
interrupt
going to be
us,
discussed
yes.
at a workshop, I think that the applicant should be made aware of that as well.
Yes.
I think it protects the town, this
Yes.
advice.
Yes, I agree.
All right,
What's the date of that workshop?
2 weeks from today, the 28th.
I just want to double check.
Yes, it's
The 28th.
2 days after Memorial Day.
the day after grievance day. The happiest day of the year.
Grievance Day.
Everybody come bring your property values.
Oh, yeah,
That's the day.
Yeah.
I know that day.
yeah, that's the second biggest
I've
lie
been
by
there.
realtors. You can grieve your taxes.
Well, you can. I got a letter in the mail today.
Oh, everybody got the letter.
Oh,
Yeah.
everybody got that letter?
We'll see.
All right, so new business, I understand, is not going to happen. The legal people are not here?
No.
Last minute, cancel.
Okay. Is there any other business? I have one item for other business, but board, is there any other business?
I have a statement to make. I want to commend Olivia for the excellent organization folders that she put a giant folder of documents in a neat or an organized way with every application in a separate folder with different colors and beautifully marked, and I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Kudos.
It wasn't all me. Grace was
Nicely said.
Okay,
To both of you.
okay.
Okay.
I have a question. Where are we with the comprehensive plan? I go online, I understand parts have been produced,
Yes.
but I haven't seen, you're on that board. Where are we?
I think the consultant has plans to have further community input events. And I don't know what they're planning because they haven't shared it with us.
Do they have any drafts that this board can see?
Not yet, no.
No, so they sent out the questionnaire, they got the responses, they tabulated all that. They're now essentially locked away with all that data, all that information from the
Yeah.
survey. And they're putting together essentially a draft, but not really a draft quite yet, which will be presented at many, many more community events.
Okay.
This board will see that draft document.
I have a question.
when it's available.
Have you heard from Belly Plaza?
No.
Yes, well, they renewed their building permit recently.
Okay.
Well, their demolition permit, and Tariq, who owns it, had let me know that the environmental aspect was holding them up because they're switching out all the tanks. So
Right.
that's what was,
They haven't switched the tanks out?
They thought they were
No.
done.
from what I hear, they were still
No,
waiting on.
they have a fence and they've taken down some trees.
Yeah.
So, I thought we were told that the DEC was there and they took the tank out.
Yeah, because it's all dug up.
Is it? I don't
It's
know.
all
The
dug up.
tank, the old tank may have been decommissioned. I believe where he stood up here is,
He had to put
the
the new
permitting
ones
for the
in.
new tank.
Yeah. Because
With
I
the
remember.
state.
I don't think they've removed any old tanks. I drive past it.
I think that those,
70
they said
times a
something
week.
about those tanks being removed prior to his purchase.
Okay.
Or contingent upon his
No,
purchase.
he
There
was
some-
good. No, the tanks weren't removed, but he was holding money back to see if there had to be remediated.
Right.
And I thought he was gonna remove the tank, he said he was gonna remove the tank right away, so he
Well, he
could,
can't until he gets the proper permits from the state, and that I think is where he's stuck.
Yeah, that's what was.
so it was
holding them
not
up.
removed?
Not if he couldn't get the permits.
He's got to work with DEC, I
Yeah.
recall.
You can't get the permits if there's a leak.
I have no idea. There's 1,000 considerations for that kind of permitting. I have no idea.
DEC.
I mean, we could ask the DEC, but getting them on the phone is like
So what is his obligation to finish he applied for a new building permit, right?
But he didn't have to take the tanks out. He
And
said
how long does that last?
It's good for another year.
year.
And then he has to come, if he doesn't finish then, he has to come back
He
here?
doesn't have to finish, he just
No,
has
he
to
has-
start.
He has to come, I believe, just to the building department
Yeah.
and see Donna and myself and get a whole new building permit after this second renewal. Technically.
But I remember him saying that he could sleep better if he removed the tanks and put
Yes, I
new
remember
ones.
that too. He said, I
So
don't
I-
have to, but I want to.
Yeah, he didn't have to take the tanks out. There was nothing wrong with them, they were fixed, they were put in by the last owner.
I see. And that's online, so you could go and look online and see if the tank has been removed, if it's leaking or not.
I don't think it was. But he said he would sleep better if he put his own tanks in, he felt better
Yeah,
about
because he owns how.
Any-
Which is the permitting agency for that? You could always reach out
DEC.
directly to
It's
them.
it. It'd have to be
Well, I know
the
the DEC, but which
No, it's
portion
online.
is this department and which person, there's eight
Yeah.
of them.
Just
God
go,
only knows.
go underground
Can't get the guys on
storage
the
tank
because
status.
my leach
It's
field
online.
that day plan failed.
Yeah, so check
Ooh.
it there.
And we're waiting for
You
them
need the
now.
site location or the, which is, maybe it's 5, section 5, the DEC is in charge.
All right, so that's in motion, they're following the proper procedures.
Okay.
We would like to get information, if you've learned anything,
Yeah.
please bring it to a workshop.
Yeah.
Is there any other business that people would like to bring up?
Yeah, I want to stay on that. I'm concerned that it's taken so long. I think we should not just leave it be.
What, Bel Air Plaza?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I brought it up. Every time I pass it, I get,
Yeah, I don't think
why
it's-
isn't this place
I
moving?
know, believe me, I know.
Trust me, the man wants to be making money and he can't.
I'm
do
sure
it
he
sitting
wants
on
to,
vacant
yeah.
property, so I'm sure, I
Yeah.
don't know. But given that this is what he does for a living, I'm sure
Right.
he's doing everything in his power to get the proper permit.
So he has our approval.
Yes.
His building permit will expire when?
In 1 year from,
From
He
what
just
date?
renewed it.
yeah.
He just
Maybe
renewed it.
About maybe a month ago,
Okay, so
11 months.
recently enough.
Yeah.
would have been nice to ask the question in advance, because we could have had him come in here perhaps before we issued the renewed permit.
You didn't.
We didn't do it.
Not up to
We
us.
only got a building
Yeah,
permit.
yeah.
It's a building.
The building permit.
From
Yeah.
Donna.
No, I understand.
Isn't Firelight like that for 2 years?
Yeah, at least,
2
and they
years.
just renewed it, yeah.
And they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
they
you
don't,
know,
that's different in that they don't intend to do anything.
you know, years ago, the Budapest, which the Baptist camp, which is now sold again, they came in for a permit and we gave it to them. And they didn't do anything for almost 3 years or 4 years. And they kept renewing it, and I finally said, you know, what's the story with them? And it was Gina then, that was the zoning enforcement, you didn't know her.
I remember Gina.
I see the name.
Yeah, all right. She was the zoning enforcement over, and I asked her, how come they haven't done anything? She said they didn't have the money.
Yes, and
That's,
that's what Firelight told me.
yeah, and that might, you know, that might be.
All right, is there anything else that this board can be doing with regard to this? We voiced our concerns. We're all impatient to see something happen. Is there anything else we can do?
I can reach out to him, calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
he's
he
very
could come,
friendly.
I know, he's very nice.
Yeah, so we'll do some digging, the three of us.
Yeah, maybe he could come in and give us an update on where he's at.
Who would reach out to this person to ask him to come on into us and he can come to a workshop?
I did speak to him once, but it was a couple months back.
Your,
About
sorry.
the, retaining wall in the back,
Yes.
Right,
because they had started to work on the retaining.
they've
Right.
taken down trees,
Yeah, I
yeah.
saw that.
Yeah, so.
Could you ask him to
There's no
join us?
reason- There's no reason for this man to come. Your piece of this is done.
We are done.
You issued your approval and he got his permit. It's done.
Ask him for a courtesy call.
Sure, you can ask him to come.
That's all we're doing.
Yeah, we're not.
Procedurally, we have nothing to
We're
do.
not commanding him to come or anything like
This
that.
is something.
It's how people tend to take things.
We
And I
just-
think it'd be wise if he did. There was some opposition, so let's see what's going on.
Yeah, I'll give him a call, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other business?
Last,
County report?
I don't have anything specific from the county, but last meeting I had talked with Cliff about becoming a more formal alternate. So if we didn't have enough people to fill the form, I could fill in, and, only at that time would I be a voting member.
I recall that. Now, did Cliff say we needed to take an action?
That's what I was, when
Yeah,
Yes,
So do we make a recommendation to the town that we would like to?
yes.
yes.
So can I get a motion that we recommend to the town board that we create the role of a, what would it be?
Alternate.
Alternate
If-
planning
if
board
he's
member?
my alternate for the county when I can't go, I
Right.
ask for the.
Well, let's keep it simple for this one. Can I get a motion that we recommend to the town that we have an alternate planning board member position created?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. So now it's up to the board, to the town. Thank you, Chandra. Anyone care to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
That's my
All in
favorite
favor?
motion.
Aye.
Aye.